Hi, Reverend Paula Zabkar here from Spiritual Soul Center. Good to make this connection with you. Let's take a minute and do exactly that, to make a connection, to just breathe into this moment, to feel how good it feels to be alive with everything that's happening in our life, the things that are a struggle, the things that are joyful, the things that have brought us everything to this moment now. Let's take in that feeling of aliveness, of joy in this moment now. So breathing in and breathing out, and feel it. Feel the absolute joy in being alive. Oh, that feels sweet. And so it is. Amen. Well, today we have a guest speaker with us at Spiritual Soul Center. Her name is Kate Rivas. Let me tell you a little bit about Kate. She was born and raised in Swansboro, North Carolina, and spent 25 years as a social worker. Then she decided to make a life change and went to live and work as a retreat manager at Southern Dharma, a 40-year-old Buddhist silent meditation retreat center in Hot Springs, North Carolina. She was there from 2016 till 2019. She is currently deeply engaged in the work of social justice in the form of anti-racism action and education, participating in training for Zen chaplaincy through the New York Zen Center for Contemplative Care, a member of the Social Action Committee and chair of the Pastoral Care Team at Unitarian Coastal Fellowship in Morehead City. She is a new member of Citizens for Diversity and Education in Carteret County and a sitting member of the board of Great Tree Women's Zen Center in Alexander, North Carolina. Most recently, she has been appointed to the board of directors of Onslow County LGBTQ+ Center. She believes in community care and the value of well and intentionally cultivated relationships that support us from birth to death. She is a practicing Buddhist. And her message today is entitled, Working Toward Oneness. Please welcome Kate Rivas.
Hello, beautiful Spiritual Soul Center friends. I'm really, really happy to get to come back and be with you today, to gather with you all today, and I'm so looking forward to our conversation afterward, which I know will be equally beautiful. It gives me great joy and is such an honor to be able to come and speak to things that are dear to my heart and my spirit, and I believe all of ours. So thank you. Wherever there has been expansion and love or progress and well-being of individuals or numbers, it has been through the perception, realization, and practicalization of the eternal truth, the oneness of all beings. Swami Vivekananda said that. Last weekend, I spoke at the memorial service for Jenna Franks. Jenna was a transgender woman who lived in Jacksonville, who was murdered in February. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful service full of beautiful people. But as I looked out into the audience, I noticed that there were small sections of people, small groups of people who considered themselves to be the same. And they were separate from other groups who considered themselves to be the same, affinity groups, if you will. And this was not an intentional or malicious act of separation. It was just kind of the way it naturally shook out. Strangely enough, my message for the day was about how we actually are not separate, how every one of us there at that service were just like Jenna. We are one. And that can be a hard truth to integrate, especially right now. We really would like to consider ourselves separate from those who are perpetrating some pretty big acts of inhumanity against marginalized communities. In just the past 30 days, we have seen news of deadly violence against the Asian community, against the Black community, horrendous atrocities perpetrated on brown children at the border, and here in our state, brutal legislative propositions that directly and intentionally seek to remove the rights of transgender persons. The thing is, though, if we were to ask those in positions of power if they considered themselves to be good people, they would say yes. They always do. You know, they would give us a long list of the ways that they believe they do good in the world, the communities they belong to, the family they have, the fellowship that they enjoy. And the truth is, many of them likely are not bad people. The question begs then, how are so many self-professed good people doing so many bad things to those other people? It's the other part. That's how. Brene Brown refers to this othering as dehumanization. And she cites David Smith, who is the author of Less Than Human, who explains that dehumanization is a response to conflicting motives. And these conflicting motives are often seen when we have one side who has a specific and particular moral code, who views the other side as either having no moral code or is somehow in conflict to what they believe. Still, even the people who make the discriminating laws, or the people who sort of with impunity go about doing these violent things, it is not in their nature to do that. Let me repeat that for you. It is not in the human nature to harm each other. So, dehumanization is necessary. It is necessary in order to bypass that sort of, intrinsic prohibition against harming our fellow human beings. We saw that in Nazi Germany. The Jews were referred to as animals. And after a while, after enough people heard that the Jews were not people, that they were different from us, it became very, very, very easy to be quiet, to stand by and allow the things that happened in Nazi Germany to happen. And so here we are in this modern day time. Right? We're not in Nazi Germany, thank goodness. But we still see this dehumanization happening. We have people in places of power who say that they know what's best. We don't. We know what's best for children and animals. We don't know what's best for grown individuals. So it's the necessity of that dehumanization that supports these systemic and social constructs that contribute to the continued victimization of people who are in marginalized communities. And quite honestly, it's a violation against human nature, the human spirit, and against the faith of many, even those who, we consider to be those other people who are doing those things. So here we are now in a place in time and history where opportunities to examine our own behavior and our own privilege and the privilege and behavior of others is in great abundance. If you're on social media, there are constant calls to, speak out, to support causes of justice and equality. If you turn on the news, you can't, there's nowhere to go where the opportunity to do the work of beginning to move away from this place of dehumanization back to a place of oneness. Family dinner, perfect example. There's nowhere that we can go right now. We're not given the opportunity to confront this. And so as the awareness around these things arises, equal does our responsibility to call out what we see. When we see or hear behavior exhibited that dehumanizes others, we are responsible. Are we not to love our neighbor as ourselves? We are responsible. Are we not our brother's keeper? So here we are. We are good people, yes. We are here on this beautiful Sunday, gathered in fellowship. When we are called to serve, we serve. When we are called to vote, we vote. When we are able, we put money into the collection plate and into the hands of, those who use money for good, for charity. But I have a question. And this is a question I ask myself regularly, so I wouldn't dare ask you to do something that I have not already done myself and continue to do. When we hear these descriptive terms that may not apply to us, when we hear Black, Asian, Mexican, transgender, gay, lesbian, is our first thought how much alike we are? Or is our first awareness around hearing these terms, hearing these descriptors, nothing wrong with them, they're just words. But is our first thought, and is it our first inclination to identify how different that other person is? And what are those differences? I cannot speak for anyone around what they believe their differences to be from other people. But I feel very comfortable and feel like I can speak with authority around the ways that we are so much the same. And this is very much what I said when I spoke of Jenna. I began by telling, the crowd that this cisgendered female was just like Jenna. And I went on to say that just like me, Jenna wanted to be safe, just like me. Jenna wanted to be free to experience joy. Just like me, Jenna wanted to be free to love who she wanted to love. She wanted to belong, you know? And I believe in my heart. I've worked a lot of years with a lot of people of all kinds, and I believe that that is the root of our sameness. That is the root of our oneness. And when I can meet another person knowing that they are just like me, it is impossible for me to not have compassion for them. Completely impossible. Without being explicit, I will say that there are signs in the neighborhood that I drive by from time to time. Quite a bit of them I drove by in 2020. And it used to be that my first inclination was to, say some sort of expletive and think some horrible thought about who in the world would have these signs in their yard. And I remember after a while I would feel that feeling, like in my body. And when I finally honestly checked in with it, it felt so bad. Didn't feel good inside of me. And so I began to think, how is it that my neighbor could be so different from me? Which, by grace of some sort, led me to the understanding that my neighbor wasn't different from me. My neighbor was experiencing fear. My neighbor was experiencing fear. My neighbor was experiencing fear of change. My neighbor was experiencing a fear of a loss of a way of life. My neighbor was experiencing fear of loss of powerlessness. And so I was able to meet them in my heart from that place. So now when I drive past those signs, I just pat my heart and I say, may you be free from your fear and suffering. And they don't hear it, but they didn't hear me yelling at them either, going 60 miles an hour down the road. But it makes me feel less separate from them. And that feeling gives me hope. And it feels a lot better in my body and in my heart. So again, are we working toward oneness? Is that something greater than our intention? Are we practicing in our daily lives in a way such that when we see another person, that's exactly what we see? Another human being, another person with a mother, and family, and dreams, and a home, or a safe place to live. Another person who wants to be safe, who wants to be loved, who wants to be free from oppression, who wants to be free to be in the world without having to worry about the danger they may encounter. I ask this because I believe if we were all really doing the work around this, that when the loss of life of a Black man at the hands of police, when that happened, we would all be in the streets. We would all be mourning. If when we see children sleeping in cages, if the first thing we saw was another human being, we would all be at the border. We would all be writing our legislators calling our representatives. If we saw another human being when we saw a transgender person, we would all be heading up to Raleigh this Saturday, which is where I'll be. Yesterday. It'll be yesterday when you see this, marching for the rights of transgender individuals to live freely and peacefully in the state of North Carolina. It's very simple. And according to Llewellyn Vaughn, oneness is very simple. Everything is included and allowed to live according to its true nature. This is the secret that is being revealed, the opportunity that is offered. How we make use of this opportunity depends on the degree of our participation, how much we are prepared to give ourselves to the work that needs to be done, to the freedom that needs to be lived. How much? How much are we willing to contribute to the work? Do we believe that until all of us are free, none of us are free? Oneness says yes. Please join me now in a short meditation. Find a comfortable spot. Settle in. Find your breath. And on your next inhale, inhale deeply into your belly. When we breathe into our belly, it calms our nervous system. Sends a message to our brain that we are safe, okay. And as your breathing deepens into your belly, I would like for you to bring to mind a picture of the most beloved one in your life. The family member, mother, father, daughter, son, brother, sister, grandmother, grandfather. It could be a pet. But whoever is the most beloved one in your life, bring them to mind. Feel how it feels to be thinking of them, to be wishing their happiness, to be loving them, to be grateful for their existence in your world. Just let that be for a few breaths. Feeling all that love, all that open-heartedness. Now, imagine that love that you feel for them has a color. It can be any color, whatever color love looks like to you, whatever color love feels like to you. Give your love a color. And on your next out breath, imagine that color of your love, that beautiful, deep, warm love you have for your most beloved. Imagine that color on your out-breath leaving your body and flowing outward. Flowing outward first to wherever you're sitting, then to fill the room, then to fill the whole house until it runs right out the windows and the doors, out into your front yard, your backyard, into the neighborhood, out into the next town. Your love, beautiful color of your love, continuing to spread until your whole state is full of the color of your love. My state right now is currently beautiful, vibrant purple. And imagine it continuing to expand all across our country, dripping into the water, into the oceans, spreading across all of the world, all of humanity, linking us all with our love, our compassion, our willingness to send our love outside of us and onto everything. Breathe in all the way to your belly. What it feels like to know that your love is everywhere, because we are all connected. Every one of us, every living thing on this planet, we live in connection. Bless you all. May you go in peace.
Thank you, Kate, for your message. Thank you for the meditation. Thank you for reminding us that everyone we see in the world, each person is just like me. No matter how different they appear, they're just like me, just like me. And that's the root of compassion in our lives, as Kate said. It's the root of that, is to recognize the oneness and work on that. Work on seeing our sameness. Work on seeing our sameness. Yeah. She also reminded us that it is not in our human nature to harm others. And even when we see that happening, it's not in our human nature to do that. Something has been pulled, the veil has been pulled. We have dehumanized another to be able to do that. So all great messages, Kate. Thank you so much. We'll have a Zoom call at 11 o'clock on Sunday, April 18th. If you've sent me an email, you'll be invited to that call. We'll be able to talk with Kate and ask questions or make observations on our own and help our own self work toward oneness. So thank you again, Kate. Let's close as we do at Spiritual Soul Center with this metta prayer. Say it with me if you will. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. Until next time, amen.